welcome to First. I'm Nichelle Poston along with Shirley Min. Mark Eichman is off this week.
While the answer to what role migrant workers play in our workforce is debatable, it's clear what can be done to help their children. It's part of a long-standing federal program.
A Delaware small business owner discovers what's in the power of a name while setting up her company, now called Lola Soul.
And Delaware's claim as one of the most bike-friendly states in the nation gets a boost across the Christina River. First, your public media news magazine starts now.
With all the discussion about controls on immigration and travel bans, it is important to remember Delaware's summer economy depends on migrant labor. The great majority of them are of Latin heritage. It's usually a family affair, and in our first look, Chris Barish revisits a federal program aimed at helping the children of these workers. Hey, Chris.
Hi, Nikki. There are about 600 migrant workers who come to Delaware every year. Older kids can join their parents in the fields, but what about the younger kids? They can get into a special scholastic camp. It's a federal program that's been around for a half century. At a watermelon farm near Laurel, Francisco Galindo works 12-hour shifts with his girlfriend and their oldest son. At a motel 15 miles away, another son takes care of their disabled child. 30 miles away in Milford, 4 Galindo children brush up on academics.
With their educational program, it's been a blessing. It brightens their mind because they're not stuck in four walls looking at just a Disney Channel or a Discovery Channel.
The Galindos live in southwest Florida, but come to Sussex County for the July and August picking season. While they toil in the fields and packing houses, their youngest kids take classes in Delaware's Migrant education program.
It teaches me stuff that I didn't understand in school. Like, right now we're learning the U.S. Constitution, and then I didn't know that the different rights had different meanings in the Bill of Rights.
The program serves about 100 students in Delaware and 500,000 nationally. It began in the mid-1960s, growing out of the rebellion by California migrant farm workers for higher wages and better working and living conditions.
The purpose of the program is to help to offset the disparities in education interrupted of migrant students. Children who move frequently, who are frequently mobile children, that they are enrolled in multiple school districts throughout the year.
A recruiter visits farms, motels, work camps, and other places. When she finds migrant workers with children, she encourages them to join the program in Milford or Seaford. So while parents or older siblings pick and pack fruits and vegetables, the children get tutoring tailored to their specific needs.
What we're trying to do is fill in any sort of gaps that they might have in their education due to the nature of what they do and their parents do. Since they're moving around, sometimes they may miss things, or any issues that they might have might fall through the cracks because they're moving to different schools.
On the day WHYY visited the Milford site, Linda Coverdale worked with 2 youngsters on language skills.
Some of them have mastered part of the language, but majority of them fall 2 or 3 grades behind. And so they need the summer to learn as much vocabulary possible, so when they go to school, they are not completely lost.
Almost all students are Latino. The families live in Texas, Florida, Georgia, and other southern states, and come north during the growing season here.
The Galindo family here, I know that they will spend a lot of time in Florida, but then once the season comes around, they'll move to Georgia. They've come here the last few years, and then they'll head back.
The Galindos don't see their children much, but they are grateful to be together, even packed at night into a motel room they rent by the week for $350. A program van or bus transports the 4 children to and from class.
And now this go say good morning, go put in the bus for Boys and Girls Club. This coming at night, and it's go only kiss the good night. This is what hurts for me. But this sacrifice for my kids is better.
Their job is very hard. They work in the fields, And some of this heat, it's a killer.
WHYY observed as a cohesive team of 36 workers, mostly Mexicans, Jamaicans, Haitians, and Guatemalans, moved hundreds of melons from the field to delivery trucks. Galindo patrolled in a muddy pickup truck, shouting instructions in Spanish and educating a reporter. While Galindo is accustomed to this migratory lifestyle in farming, it's one he doesn't want for his children.
They see the sacrifice that I made by myself, now they feel it, and they get a sense of, hey, I want you to not do what I do. I want you to get a better education, be better than me.
Mario Galindo wants to be a chef and gets inspiration from the annual cook-off, one of many field trips the kids take. McNulty, a middle school teacher in his 10th year with the program, says working with the migrant children is simply a labor of love.
They are kids, so we gotta use our teacher tools and make it fun, and the personality and the work ethic of the kids is great.
I want to expose them to what life really is under the hot sun, because that makes them want to pursue their education more.
It was truly heartening to meet the Galindos. The parents and oldest son work so hard so we can all eat the produce they pick and pack. And they are so grateful that the 4 younger children get to spend their days at a productive classroom and camp instead of crammed inside a motel room.
So Chris, tell me, how did the family hear about the program and how long have they been participating?
Well, the program's recruiter found Francisco about 4 years ago. The family had been itching to come up here and join him from Florida, so they saw this as a golden opportunity to do that. They came up, they love it, and it's become an annual family pilgrimage.
Seems exciting. It seems like it takes a lot working on this farm.
Look, the work is just truly backbreaking, and anyone who doesn't appreciate the contribution they make should go out there on one of those farms and spend an hour.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Chris. You can see more Delaware education reporting. Just go to WHYY.org/news.
Coming up on First, a bigger emphasis on young women being involved in science as part of a seminar called Girls Empowerment on STEM. And enjoy the artistry of a good quilt. You can find one courtesy of our First experience.
For 33 years, kids in Newcastle County have learned things like how to dial 911 or stop, drop, enroll through a beloved program called Safety Town. It's been around so long that now a new generation of children are learning these important, timeless lessons. These kids are learning the rules of the road here in Safety Town.
What do you do at a stop sign? What do you do at a stop sign? There you go.
This miniature town with child-sized buildings, crosswalks, and streets is part of Newcastle County's popular Safety Town program. The week-long program teaches 4-, 5-, and 6-year-olds about safety through hands-on activities like this and visits from guest speakers.
Can somebody raise your hand and tell me one thing you've learned in Safety Town?
On this day, Newcastle County Executive Matt Meyer came for a visit.
Good. You don't cross the road till the bus puts the sign up.
And so did PA Bear with Prevent Child Abuse Delaware to talk about good touches and bad touches.
The goal is to make them more aware of safety. We hope that the concepts the children learn will never have to be used. We hope they don't have to dial 911. We hope they don't have to know how to get out of their home in case of a fire. But the idea is that we've planted the seed. If they need this information, they have it.
Bryce Kerstetter took part in Safety Town when he was younger. The high school freshman is back, this time as a teen volunteer.
I feel like it's giving them a sense of how the world works. It's a lot more dangerous than what it may seem. And just teaching kids, when they do go out there and they do need to do things on their own, they'll be set and prepared and ready to do it.
Safety Town started in Ohio in the 50s and 60s, back when safety wasn't taught in the schools. Crossing guards started here in Delaware in the 80s to teach kids how to cross the street safely. And then the program just grew from there. Doherty says the county spends very little on marketing, but that word of mouth has kept the program going strong for 3 decades.
Well, safety never goes out of style. People are always interested in having their children learn about safety.
So much so that Safety Town is now teaching a whole other generation of kids. Both Alan Sylvester and Rhiannon Barlow took part in Safety Town as preschoolers. Now their kids are in it.
And remember a lot about learning your phone number and just general safety.
So you're reinforcing with things at home, but they're presenting it in ways that are, studied and planned, and in ways the kids will understand it better. And then you're reinforcing at home with the same kinds of conversations about all the topics discussed.
Important lessons wrapped up in fun.
What are you coming up to? Keep going. And stop. Oh, great job.
600 kids took part in Safety Town this year. 13 week-long sessions at various sites are offered during spring break and throughout the summer. The program is done for this year, but registration for next year opens in February.
Shirley, as the 2017 school year gets ready to hit its holiday break, we thought it would be a good time to look back on one student's effort aimed at getting her peers excited about staying in the classroom. Her technique, a few science projects, and more.
This is taking a little bit longer than I expected. Yeah.
But patience combined with borax powder, glue, water, and your choice of food coloring, and you'll get a little something called slime.
Slime is popular. I've seen it all over Instagram and Facebook. We're doing an elephant paste one soon. It looks cool. It explodes and makes a lot of soap and foam. That one's fun. Just want ones that catch their eye to get them interested in it, so they can go home and be like, oh, I want to do this one or this one.
That's exactly what 14-year-old Jacqueline Means did, catch everyone's attention during the Girls Empowerment STEM program.
Whoa, that's really cool.
Means developed such a strong love for science and math that she decided to host the event to bridge the gap in women in STEM by introducing these girls to a few lab experiments.
I wanted to bring science, just STEM, to girls in Wilmington, especially girls of color. She had read that there's a shortage of women in STEM, and there's even a smaller percentage of minority women in STEM. And she said, well, I'm going to be a surgeon. She said, I want other girls from Wilmington to at least get interested in science, and maybe they'll be surgeons.
Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester also participated to spark students' interest, where they all came together to create oil lamps.
I think because we live in the city of Wilmington, it's important to give back, because the youth are the ones that are going to make a difference as they get older. So if you can impact the youth and get them to see other people giving back, get them interested in chess, STEM, all types of things, our community will get better, but you have to invest in the youth.
And investing in the youth is certainly the goal of every inspiring woman who attended.
How many of you guys know that school is important?
Then another speaker, Velda Jones Potter, who was the first African-American woman to earn an engineering degree from the University of Delaware.
If you love math and if you love science, engineering could be a career for you. That's all I needed to hear.
It didn't take long for students to feel empowered.
I'm going to be a teacher.
A teacher? Wow, wow.
The goal was to get these girls thinking about their future. That's why Means carefully picked each science project, such as the balloon experiment.
So the vinegar and baking soda balloon, because the vinegar and the baking soda have acids in them that mix and make carbon dioxide, it fills up the balloon. And that's one that they can really see a reaction, and it's not like, oh, what's happening? You can really see what's going on.
In fact, there's more in store for students and plans to keep them involved in STEM throughout the school year.
We're going to be doing these every 3 months, so brace yourself, because Jacqueline wants to make sure that this is a consistent thing with the girls, not just a one-time thing. So we will be doing this again and getting girls interested in STEM and doing many more experiments.
With a little push, they're sure to be empowered and ready to do their best in school.
I'm smart. I'm smart. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. I'm incredible. I'm incredible. Are you incredible? Yeah, she did that. And I rock. I rock. One more time. Girls rock. Girls rock. Girls rock. Girls rock. What do girls do? Rock. Rock. Yes. All right.
Students walked away with more than just a greater sense of science and math. They also took home some school supplies to help each of them have a successful school year. Some of the contributors included Healthy Kids Delaware, Nemours, Parks and Recreation, ShopRite, and a host of others. It was a true community event.
If you've traveled on I-95 northbound over the Christina River, you may have noticed a bridge taking shape. It's a long planned bike trail extending from the Wilmington riverfront. It's all part of Delaware's effort to be the bike-friendliest state in the country. Mark Eichmann went to take a look.
Drivers on I-95 near Wilmington may have noticed a construction project underway in the marshy area beside the Christina River just south of the city. Workers are making lots of progress on a mile-long trail that will connect Wilmington to Old Newcastle. The new trail extends from the DuPont Environmental Education Center south of the Wilmington riverfront for about a mile before crossing the Christina River. While the project is now visible, it's been on the drawing board for a long time.
The project's been in the works for about 10 years, and I've actually worked on it for about the last 7.
DelDOT's Jeff Nesgoda says building the elevated boardwalk and bridge structures through sensitive marshland has been challenging.
It's in a very environmentally sensitive area. You've got a bridge crossing across the Christina River, approximately at 300 feet in length. We have 2 other structures, one leading up to the nature center here. And then the ground is very soft that we're working on. So everything we're working on is structure related with a elevated boardwalk and whatnot.
And all that work doesn't come cheap either.
The overall price is around $20 million. It's an investment, and of course, it sounds like a lot of money. But when you have 3 structures, one right behind us here, that's a major structure, and then the one over the Christina River, the price tag on that was between $6 and $8 million just to get over to that river. So
the new trail, which is on schedule to open next June, is just another example of how state leaders are trying to maintain Delaware's status as the 3rd most bike-friendly state in the nation.
There we go.
In early October, Governor John Carney took another step in that effort, signing a package of legislation modifying the state's bike laws.
The Bicycle-Friendly Delaware Act is the culmination of years and years of misunderstanding about bicycle laws in general. I mean, by misunderstanding, this is misunderstood by bicyclists, by motorists, and law enforcement. It stems out of laws that were written in the 1970s and are totally ambiguous.
Among the changes, cars are no longer allowed to honk at cyclists unless there's a danger of a collision, and cyclists are now allowed to treat stop signs as yields in certain situations.
I think it's really helpful for the cyclists. I lead group rides during the summer, usually 2 to 3 times a week. And so for us, it's really helpful not to have to unclip at every stop sign. If we can simply yield, it's going to help traffic flow better.
The new trail from Wilmington to Newcastle will be named after former Delaware Governor Jack Markell. And according to Bike Delaware, it's the biggest cycling project ever. It should be complete in 2018.
A chance encounter sparked a business idea for a Wilmington woman. Kamisha Martin took that concept, stepped out on faith, and created a fearless line of jewelry under the brand name Lola Soul. There is an entrepreneurial movement underway in Wilmington, Delaware. From traditional to creative ventures, people are turning their passion into a profession.
My name is Kamisha Martin. I am a metalsmith, jewelry designer, and I am the owner of Lola Soul Jewelry.
Martin started making jewelry for herself after she was duped into believing a piece of jewelry she bought from a vendor was a one-of-a-kind piece.
I saw at least 5 people with the exact same ring. And since that time, I have seen lots of people with that exact same ring. So I said, lies and deceit. This is not one of a kind. The only way I'm truly going to have something one of a kind is if I make it myself. So I took a weekend class just to learn the basics of how to make jewelry.
No longer needing to depend on other jewelry makers, Martin started modeling her own creations, which caught the eye of several people.
People would stop me in the street and say, hey, I love your necklace. Where'd you get it from? I'm like, oh, I made it. Oh my gosh, did you sell it? I'm like, no, you know, skip off. After the 30th person said, do you sell that jewelry? I was like, light bulb moment, maybe I should start selling this jewelry.
Martin is a part of the business boom that online brand Thrillist says is happening in Wilmington. A 2016 study of women-owned businesses by American Express Open shows a 45% jump in businesses started by women. That's in comparison to a 9% hike among all businesses.
It was very scary. I mean, I was working for a very major, Fortune 50 company, making, really good money. And I was willing to walk away from that.
Martin is among Wilmington's boss babes, a term used on social media to describe women who run their own businesses. In 2014, she fired her corporate job and made the leap into self-employment.
When I decided to become Lola Soul, I had to take on it as a real business because this was how I was going to pay my bills now. So I had to get very serious about it.
She admits to being too rigid with her marketing and sales approach in the beginning. But with experience came wisdom coupled with a twist of creativity.
It used to be called Lola Soul Session, but I thought it didn't really give you an idea of what we did. So then Metal with a Twist really helps you to understand what we do here. It's about you coming here and you deciding what you want to make in the realm of what we're making, and you design it, you make it, and you take it.
Martin went from not only selling her jewelry at festivals, boutiques, and online, to offering buyers a chance to create their own one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry.
Let's make some fearless pieces. Today we are doing initial pendants. I know there's someone here who wants to make a ring. Who is that person? Okay. So there's usually two classes. There's usually the initial pendants and then there's the ring. That's this ring here. And so she wants to make this ring. So if someone else wants to make this ring, I will walk you through making this ring as well. So there's options today.
The hands-on class gives students a glimpse inside the art of jewelry making.
It was interesting. It's not as easy as you think. So there are a lot of things that you have to get used to in terms of working with hot metal and the fire and the soldering and all of those things. But it's fun.
Martin says students walk away from her class, which is offered at Bellefonte Arts in Wilmington, with a sense of fearlessness, and that's exactly what she aims for. See, the name Lola Soul, well, it was born out of Martin's resolve to not let fear paralyze her from taking chances in her life, so she hopes students leave with that same boldness.
Virginia Abrams was trained in organic and biochemistry, but in 1997, she discovered something else, quilting. Turns out she was able to marry her training with her love of sewing to turn it into wonderful art quilts. It's our first experience this week.
I've been making art quilts, which are quilts for the wall, for 20 years now, and they've just been wonderful fun. They're just fantastic. It's made to be put on the wall, so it doesn't have to have a design that is, comforting for somebody trying to go to sleep. I went to college in chemistry, and then I went to graduate school in organic chemistry. When I discovered quilting, I decided, aha, I was not going to teach biochemistry. By that time, I was teaching at the University of Delaware. I was going to make quilts. My mother always sewed everything in our household. Sewing had always been a wonderful thing, and actually in graduate school, on Saturday afternoon, I would sew in my room in the dorm and listen to the Metropolitan Opera. And it was heaven on earth, and it made it so that whatever thing wasn't working in lab would go away. And it's still that way. When I sit in my chair in front of the sewing machine, the world goes away. It's okay. But now I listen to NPR. I started by taking a class in dyeing silk scarves. Just putting color on white blank materials, just thrilling. It's wonderful. I started out and loved the Amish quilts, so the first quilts I made were Amish quilts. And then I soon moved to more geometric ones. After a while, I got a camera, and I was always looking for shapes that were abstract because that's what attracts me. And so the first large number of quilts I made based on my camera photographs were reflections and things in the water in a lake. And the reflection is fantastic. It's a natural abstraction. What I really like to do is figure out how to make this thing that I have in my mind a reality. I have 2 daughters and a sister who are very anxious to have pieces on their wall, so a lot of my pieces are there, and then I've sold a bundle of them too. But I'm not a great salesperson, so because what the joy is making the quilt rather than the sales part. I think what I like most about it is how beautiful the color is, and that it makes me say, oh, that looks cool.
You can see more of Virginia's work online at virginiaabrams.com.
We want to share one other experience with you this week. We followed Smyrna High School's quest for a 3rd straight Division I high school football championship this fall. You'll remember last week we reported on how the team unifies the ever-growing former agricultural town. The team's pursuit of this rare achievement became a reality on Saturday at the University of Delaware, where their Sea of Red rooted on the Eagles in the title game against undefeated Middletown. Smyrna trailed by 12 points in the second half, but roared back behind star running back Will Knight to win 30-27. Mission accomplished.
And we offer our congratulations to both Smyrna and Middletown. Looks like a great rivalry for years to come. Next week on First, we guarantee to lift your spirits with the Choir School of Delaware. Through their music, you'll get a taste of how music training translates to leadership and mentoring in the region.
Well, that is First for this week. We thank you for watching. For Mark Eichman, who will be back next week, Chris Barish, and Shirley Min, I'm Nichelle Polston. Let's get in the mood for the season with a little drive along in the Pike Creek area, Shirley, of Newcastle County to see some creative holiday light displays. Have a great week.